Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Lucid, and I'm once again joined by Sai.
Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Sai, and I'm once again joining Lucid.
Hey guys, this is Lucid. So yeah, we're a little loopy after recording last episode, but yeah, we've got hopefully a few more fun turns ahead of us. Basically, not to belabor the point, TNG's bleeding out, Vaettiheim's bleeding out, Gath and Pan are rising ascendant, but Zabalba's making some hay as well. And Erythia is kind of struggling. So it's looking like we're kind of seeing the big three emerge at this point. We're starting to see like Gath, Pan, and Zabalba. But it's possible for Erythia to kind of mix things up and still have a... They're not out of the running, but they're definitely probably position 4 right now.
I would say that the thing that Erythia needs more than anything else is an influx of effort. They really just need to have better scripted armies with like proper gear. The sort of stuff that like you really need in order to assemble these late game Doom stacks.
Yeah.
And they just, since they haven't done it yet, I think that like we aren't going to see them become ascendant until they start like, really putting in the sweat into these turns.
Right. And the window for this is sort of like you can't do it starting at turn 90. You've got to be doing it to put yourself. I mean, they're in a fine position size wise, but
Yeah, they're at the point though where like they really need to start putting in like the amount of effort that the other players are in order to keep up with them.
Okay, we got a few more messages here from TNG. You did such a good job with them last time. Would you be interested in doing a reading for us?
Latch. I let Shib come in and sort of vulture, but it's more than that. They were going to start their nap countdown, but I told them not to bother and just come at me. We have been coordinating movements, though if he pushes further, I will be pushing back. Mostly, I don't have the ability to keep my anti-raid groups out that far anymore, and those provinces don't actually have much value. One thing I want to try to do is advance the Jib border forward to make it easier to cut off Erythian retreat routes. It would also be pretty fun if they battled it out on top of the Throne of Water. Eventually, their real armies will show up, and I don't see myself fighting off a massive dark vines at this phase of the game. So we have spotted them, so that's fun. Definitely still have scouts. We are going for a fight with Erythia this turn. It's been pretty lacking compared to what we have been fielding, but that is what happens when your stuff dies. Even so, if Erythia does not shape up from their earlier scripts and actually commit some real gems, or goes for some good magic phase attacks, I think we are going to win this just by nature of casting Blood Rain and Wailing Winds.
Yep, that's a good combo.
Latch, last minute message. Imagine Rain of Stones and Wind of Death casts under the gem threshold before that was patched out. Such BS. Glad that is gone, or at least much harder to do.
Yeah, that's true. Message from Gath. Zabalba attacking TNG was expected and definitely an agreement between them. My understanding is that, similar to the last war between them, TNG wants Zabalba to look big and scary, and it's probably good for me. He indeed looks very scary with those enormous piles of Aussies and Dark Vines, even after having suffered so many losses. With fewer players left, the Thrones will be becoming an issue, and Zabalba is definitely a power that can rush them very fast, considering the surprisingly weak plays Erythia has been showing. I have counterplays to that, but they're not ready yet. The longer the game goes, though, the more options will become available to me. This is finally the time of the game that the Benjamites and Gittites gave their lives for. The last few survivors are now telling stories about glorious battles of the past, where the brave people of Gath were fighting scary elemental beings and nasty imps with sword, javelin, and claw. The long-dead Gathian heroes that slayed a lot of men and beasts and died to great swords of Marignon will now have been mummified and revered as truly holy beings, the names of those who will never be forgotten, and they will live in our hearts, as long as the palace of the Sage King stands. So I see that this part of the end seemed like he was doing some reanimation or something, but...
I mean, I know that they have the Mummify, that there's that Mummify hero spell, but no, I think he was just waxing philosophic about how he's no longer using human troops.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, he has one or two mummies.
Oh yeah, this mummy here, and then a mummy here. Cool.
Those are the, the Kohen Gadols that he was using against Marignon.
Right. Yeah. Okay, a message from Vaettiheim. Well, this obviously has gone downhill very fast. Real life time is hitting me hard. I missed out on the moderately obvious turn 1 gifts play on the big fight, and that caused a big loss. I would have had a very good chance of winning otherwise. With Darkness and Mist and Storm and Will of Fates, still, chances of a bad meteor, but I had a solid chance. I've lost too much gear in that fight to really put up much of a fight, and anything I would spend I would send out needs to be able to deal with random bullshit that they can throw. And I don't really have time to plan and plot all that. I've got some ideas as for a last play versus Gath that I'm going to attempt, and trying to extract some stuff from Zabalba's side to help that. But I need to get some items first. Thankfully, Maelstrom is keeping my gym income up a bit. I do have to see if I'll have time for it. Probably should have tried to cheese his army in the first place. I miss having Al around.
If you could have done a double rigger play of some kind, that would have been a really great place for it.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the cheese is, but I'm going to be interested. I mean, when I think of Vaettiheim, I don't think of a ton of great cheese options, except maybe with the God. But like the Vaettiheim itself excels at, like Vaettiheim itself, the coronation, I think excels at like budget rating, and they have good army versus army options. But I can't think of I don't think of them as the best army cheesing nation. So.
Yeah, I mean, the double rigger play is kind of the one thing that I was thinking of, both in terms of we saw it pretty recently, and also that Vaettiheim can do that pretty easily, especially given that their God can cast it.
Yeah. Okay. Planning turns is so much harder without a reliable, consistent Hydra partner. Many of my best ideas are from bouncing discussion back and forth, and without that back and forth, I don't feel like I ever end up playing to my best level. Gath is a solid player, and in my opinion, well on track to go win right now. I don't think this war was ever conducive to Pan here. I was always going to just end up with Gath getting enormous... It was always going to end up with Gath just getting enormous swaths of territory and becoming larger than everyone else. He's well within reach of thrones now. If he gets some groundwork set up while Orithia and Pan are still fighting, thanks to TNC to come save me. Yeah. TNC did try to help him out there.
Yeah, or at least tried, yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
I think that the one thing that I found interesting is that he's similar to TNC in that he's looking at it in terms of Gath versus Pan, as opposed to the two of them as an axis, or as you kept calling it. I think that that's sort of is showing the disparity in how these players are viewing the game.
Yep. I think that's a great point. 100% agree. Let's go take a look. This might be a quick turn. Okay, so here we had the Lich. We'll watch this again. For those of y'all who don't know how to set this up, it's been a while since we showed it, so... But this is your basic setup.
One of my favorite...
You want a Lich for the high morale?
Yeah, one of my favorite things about this is that you get to farm, Hall of Fame slots, so you can get very interesting heroic traits. There's even a fast casting trait.
Yeah. Yeah, the game I'd done it, I think I had 12 or 13 Hall of Fame guys. I gave them all the same name, too. It was kind of funny.
I want to be strong. So the fact that this Lich was named I want to be strong was what made me think of that, actually.
Oh, that's funny. So anyway, that's how that works.
He actually got his wish. You can't rename units after they're in the Hall of Fame, but the guy named I want to be strong actually got the heroic strength.
Did he? Oh, wait, we don't have Eyes of God. I can't technically see that.
No, you can. If you mouse over it, it shows you what their trait is. Or you can look at it there, too. His enormous strength.
Oh, it's enormous strength. Oh, you're right. How about that? I didn't know that.
Very fortuitous.
Okay, so let's come over here and take a look at TNC. This fort...
So the one battle that we should be expecting is TNC versus Orithia.
Okay, well, that's where this one would be. But Orithia bailed, which makes sense. There wouldn't really be a battle here unless Orithia committed more mages.
And then there was the other one. Yeah. The one on TNG's south, I believe, is where the Rain of Stones trap was. But Orithia, I believe, bailed from there, too.
And Pan has moved up to the next fort.
And then
Agartha has moved over this way.
If you look at the throne there, I believe that's where Orithia's mage-reduced army was sieging.
Wow.
The other throne. Yeah, that one.
Huh. Where did they go?
I don't know.
Because there were 100 troops that were sitting around here. Maybe.
I mean, I see troops in the citadel to the south on that mountain there, but I wouldn't expect them to have that move to get there. Yeah.
Oh, here's where they went.
So Pan killed this arm. Oh, I see. Interesting. Oh, he was doing a Vortex of Returning, and he
So
accidentally...
this was coordinated.
Well, I wouldn't even say it was coordinated so much as he was trying to Vortex of Returning out, and then he ran into Pan and lost several of his troops due to the round 1 bomb.
Oh, okay. I expect he told Pan, but maybe not. It would have been nice to tell him, that way you don't lose the troops. You just zip home. They could delay the... But Pan might have not wanted to delay in case there was some cheese.
Pan moved in there, so it's been coordinated. It's just, if it is coordinated, then, the round 1 Rain of Gifts from Heaven is a little bit rude.
Yeah.
But I guess you need to do that.
Because that could have hit a golem too. I mean, probably not, I guess, if you put him in a big box in front, but...
Yeah, I guess it's unlikely to hit the golem, but everything is pretty clustered. So there's still the chance of ruining it and accidentally killing the caster.
Yeah. Not a ton of action over here. I mean, basically, Pan's moving up, but no fights.
Yeah, the only real fight, I guess, is that TNG was expecting then must have been that northern fort where they kicked off the retreating Erythians.
Right. More mages patrolling, getting rid of these pesky scouts.
He's down from 101 to 92, so at least 9 of those sages have moved out.
Right. And then he's using Ghost Riders here to raid PD. Yeah, TNG's not really showing any sort of desire to come out and fight these Pan armies.
Well, that was a decent showing there.
Where?
That one, yeah.
Let's look at this. Because, this is 3 Pans. Oh, Wind of Death.
Okay, so that's what he was going for. Because, yeah, he was basically just doing a trap of some kind. I was just curious to see what form it took.
So, Stormstaff.
Yeah, so it's just Wind of Death with pen boosting.
It's 3 casters, though.
Vortex of Returning.
So 3 turn 1 casters and Vortex of Returning.
Vortex is actually kind of risky just because of the whole chance to get sent to the astral plane. And that's pretty expensive gear to risk on Vortex when you're already short gear. Because if they retreat, they would just retreat.
It's a 7% chance, I think. Is that right?
I don't remember the exact number. I just know that it's enough that it's a little bit scary when you really do need those items. Whereas if they retreat, they have an extremely high chance of retreating inside the fortress.
Yeah, it would be worth it versus this if you knew, or if you had... Oh, it would be worth it versus this because most of these guys, like the rocks don't start dropping till turn 2. So that's, I think, the idea is if you get off Vortex of Returning immediately, there's a 0% chance you get hit by rocks. So I guess it depends what you're fighting. Obviously, versus this, it's not a great trade. But if you were to run into a few hundred mages...
That's actually a good point. Yeah, that if you're retreating, you do stand a much higher chance, I should say, of getting sniped out, either by falling rocks or enslaved mind, or any of the other nastiness that communion can do.
Right. So yeah, TNG losing a ton of land, but keeping their armies intact. Army graph isn't going down, but for land, this is a landslide.
Yeah, and we've kind of seen that happen to Vaettiheim before, where at first we were saying oh yeah, you keep your army together, you take that good fight, and that's your chance to come back. But in Vaettiheim's case, they had just lost so much that they were functionally taken out of the game. And TNT sort of went about this in the opposite way, like I'd mentioned, where they are first focusing on being able to, try to defend their territory and really hold off this invasion as best they can. And only after they start really dying do they go start losing all this ground. But in the end, they now are, in fact, losing all this ground. And that's just kind of going to show that they really have been beaten up quite a bit. So while they're not, dead yet, and they're still going to try to do as much damage as they can, they're now, I would say, down to the point where they're not even able to hold on to what's theirs.
Yeah. Yeah, this is just the logical conclusion of losing a bunch of your fighting power. And, they're not looking to drive madly outwards, right, and just lose armies. They're still trying to use the troops they have left responsibly, but I don't think they think there's much they can do against this Pan stuff other than stuff like we just saw here, these traps. So,
yeah, and that makes sense that, they want to put together they want to cause as much damage as they can on their way out, but they are seeing that it is, in fact, that they are on their way out at this point. Yeah.
The one thing I wonder if this is an army size item here in Erythia. I was kind of sitting here looking at it. I was like, is this really why would they be doing that too? If it's if you're in a big 3v1,
It's
You
the
don't.
vortex of returning. That's why it's
Oh.
inflated. That their troops all went back to the
Oh,
capital.
okay. Well, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Okay. I mean, there's not much left for Erythia to gain. I mean, maybe they get this throne, though I think Pan's going to want it. So they potentially could get this throne, but Zabalba's going to want it. So really, they just have 2 more provinces to get. That's not really a lot of spoils for them in this war.
Maybe the swamp. It's
Yeah.
got pretty good gem income. Because, there's still a fair amount of stuff that Pangea has to move through. So if Erythia can put together an army that can kill a big TNG stack, which, is a big if, given that they haven't done so yet, they could be the ones to try to take TNG's capital for themselves even. Because they are pretty
Yeah.
close, like as the crow flies.
Yeah. I mean, they could.
It's just,
They could.
they have to actually bring an army that can do that, and we haven't seen that
Yeah.
out of Erythia yet.
Yeah, that's true. That's fine. I'm like, it doesn't feel like they could, but you're technically right. Oh, look at this. Got a little horror farm happening here.
Yeah, that's
This is from the horror cult.
Yeah. That was something we'd called out a forever ago when that cult thing first happened, that if you can charm these horrors, it's kind of cool because like you do get to keep it. It's just tremendously hard to get under normal circumstances. But
Right.
when, you can throw 50 sages at a problem, your circumstances are far from normal.
That's true. Yeah, they just yeeted this guy. So these are super useful too.
Yeah, extremely high map move and round 1 teleport.
Right. Okay, let's come look at Gath. Gath presumably has moved over here on this throne, and they have. Let's take a gander at this beautiful Gath army here. Oh, Sword of Algo. I can't say that.
Argomore. I don't remember the exact.
Algamare.
Yeah,
We can probably find it here real quick. I'm sure it's on one of the big beefy boys.
Yeah, I would have
Oh.
expected it to be on the Gadol. Because the Gadol are generally some of the best people to carry these sort of things because they're not susceptible to like anti-undead or anti-demon stuff.
Yeah.
But I suppose, oh, there it is. It's on an ABBA. 3 hit points. It's not the worst.
Argelmer. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a super useful artifact. It's like the one scary thing about that is that someone else can cast Wish, and then if you don't have Will of Fate set as a backup, then you're short 1 critical battlefield buff.
Yeah. It's very dangerous for that reason. But it's also really strong to have a turn 0.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say very dangerous, but it's a little dangerous. It's helpful to, cast Will of Fates anyways, even if you don't expect that spell to ever go off.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're taking the backup precautions to cast it, then it's fine. But I don't know. I mean, we can just, the test here is, are they planning on doing it? We'd be able to see some mage here with.
Well, that's more the thing that they would need to worry about when they start fighting Erythia or Pan, because we don't expect Vaettiheim or TNG
to be wishing for anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And certainly not wishing for an artifact for like, battlefield disruption.
Ooh, Vaettiheim doing something interesting here. Let's see what this is.
Well, it's definitely gem burning.
Oh,
it's just gem burning. Okay.
Well, Creeping Doom. Let's see how this Queen of Storms is kitted too. So Gath has just so many of the elemental royalty.
If she's just a caster, yeah.
Okay, with a temp gem item to do some air elementals.
Yeah, and that's
Oh no,
good.
to do mass flight. Okay.
Yeah, mass flight with the Serim's pretty good, and then with Divine Blessing, then the Shadim aren't going to do friendly fire, and that's plenty to take that fort. So it makes total sense. It's like I wouldn't look at, you definitely can't call it budget anymore, given that it's got elemental royalty in it, but it's budget-ish, I guess, for actually capturing a fort.
Yeah. Was this the fort battle?
Yeah. So the first battle that we saw was
yeah.
Vaettiheim gem burning the outside of the fort, and then now this is the storm.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that's
really good.
Yeah, Vaettiheim didn't even have enough stuff inside to trigger the mass flight, but that's what he was going for, just dropping 30 seer on it.
Okay, I dig that. What were they? So he had 5 mages here. Presumably they were doing something. Fort of Skeletons?
Whatever they were doing, it looks like it got interrupted. Like, I think that they might... So, did they spend... Or did Gath even spend gems here?
I don't think so.
Then I am confused. I was going to say, like, maybe he's doing some sort of gem burn / trap, but...
Yeah, I was thinking Foul Vapors.
Yeah, these guys aren't doing that, so I don't know what this is about. Like, it's not enough to burn gems because he doesn't have gems on his Gaijas.
Yeah.
If he gemmed up his Gaijas, I could see that being like a thing. Like, oh, I'm just gonna, do this similar to what he'd done with the Creeping Doom before.
Right.
But in this case, it wasn't even that. So,
Okay, Vaettiheim and their cap. Let's see what they're patrolling with here. They've got...
even just by quantity, I can see this isn't going to stop any serious attempt to grab this. Like, I would say that even Shibalba's Aussie stacks could take this.
Yeah, I mean, I think they definitely could. I mean, the Rimvetti are scary. They're deceptively small, how much space they take up on the battlefield, but still, there's only 25 Rimvetti or something.
Yeah, and also, I think it's worth noting that Vaettiheim is at least partially checked out at this point. Like, not, totally giving up the game. He's still going to try to do, like, some damage with what he has left. Probably going to try to script for at least one more big fight at the end. But he's no longer, like, angling for every advantage, testing to see what he can figure out. And he'd also pointed out that, like, a big portion of, like, his ability to do that had come from having a buddy, and that he no longer has, just because Owl's out.
Yeah, so the news on the Vaettiheim front is that Xibalba is on top of this fort and presumably will be storming, and then has a bunch of stuff here. And certainly, having gotten their scout patrolled out by this weak thing, they're probably thinking, okay, time to go on top of the cap. But Vaettiheim still has the Idol of Sorcery, and apparently they have a decent amount of chaff sitting inside this fort.
Yeah, and Great Eagles in particular are very important in these late game fights just because they can block air elementals. So that kind of shows that, like, oh, this is like an actual real army. When I see like a bunch of Great Eagles and mages in one place, I assume that there's like, going to be decent item and gem support behind that as well.
Yeah.
That said, I'm also really looking forward to seeing Shibalba's new army, because this is the one where he's got all those dark vines, which means that this is the thing that's not just an Aussie hammer anymore.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting to see.
I don't think there was a battle in that province this turn, so we'll have to wait until it actually fights.
Okay.
Because like
just checking here to make sure we don't miss an important fight. But...
oh, another horror cult event.
Where is this? Dunheim.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Now Erythia gets the chance to charm a horror, although they're going to have a slightly harder time with that because only their aquatic mages get nature.
Right. You can enslave mind it. I'm not sure if they can escape. Like, horrors have a chance to defect every turn. I don't know if they will do it if they're not a commander.
I think they do.
They might. Do you think they do? Okay.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool because they're magic beings. So any mage can lead them around as a pet. Oh, wait. Are they not? Yeah, they are. So any mage can lead them around as a pet. In some ways, they're fine that way. You just, because like for Erythia, you can do quickness and stuff on them.
Yeah, they don't have the insane mobility that they do when they're commanders, but still, as you pointed out, very fine units.
Yeah. Okay, I don't think we've missed anything. I think this is just going to be a short episode here, only 25 minutes.
Yeah, no big battles this turn, and we'd kind of already gone over the political situation last turn. And outside of the fact that TNG's province graph took a dive, there isn't really anything that's different between this turn and the last.
Yeah.
And even that, like that dive was something that we'd kind of seen coming, given that TNG's armies have been heavily depleted.
Yeah. TNG's probably needs to go ahead and like mass these guys together and I guess ride out and take a fight, but I don't think they're in a hurry to defend the Citadel either. So we'll see. I mean, they may move everything here next turn, and then that would be pretty telling. But that's the other problem about in the late game is if you move to a province without a fort, you're opening yourself up to a lot of gym baits.
Yeah, I don't think that I would move out there at all unless I had a wizard tower, and even then, I don't think that we know that TNG doesn't have the earth income for that. So unless they're getting a buddy to cast it for them, they're almost certainly not doing that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we'll call it here then. Thanks so much again, Sai, for joining.
Absolutely. Thanks for hosting. Glad we could finally get a short one after so many months of not having any short episodes.
Yeah, finally at the 25-minute mark. So, viewers, thank you for making it to the end if you did, and we'll see you next time.